Hello everyone, welcome to Advanced Knowledge Systems and a warm welcome to AKS IAS Academy, which is one of the premier institutions in India, and it offers examination coaching for UPSC CSC, State Public Service Commission, SSC Combined Graduate Level and CLAT examination. And about me, I'm Sandeep Bhushan Tumala, and my credentials are I have 10 years of teaching experience for civil services. I take up international relations and internal security and the analysis of the Hindu newspaper. And this session is in regards to the daily news analysis of the Hindu, that is of today's, that is 11th of February 2021. And throughout my session, I would be emphasizing on the keywords and the key phrases from the Hindu newspaper, which will be useful for you for the prelims in regards to identifying the factual, analytical, and conceptual questions. And while you imbibe the keywords and the key phrases in your mains answer writing, your mains answers would be precise and concise, and thereby you would score higher marks in the mains examination. And this session at AKS IAS Academy Daily News Analysis will help you to crack both the prelims and mains of 2021. And before we get into the DNA of the newspaper, we would be focusing at the quote of the day, and the quote of the day is: be strong when you're weak, be brave when you're scared, and be humble when you're victorious. So yes, no doubt we have to be strong when we are weak, we have to be brave when we are scared, but what is very important when we actually attain success is that we need to be humble when we are victorious. So this is the quote of the day, and now we'll get into the DNA of the newspaper. And here we would be focusing on the key term, that is disengagement, and this disengagement is in regards to the troops between India and China in the LAC, along the LAC in the Eastern Ladakh. And China's military has announced that its frontline troops, both from India and China, had begun disengagement. They started disengaging from the Pyongyang Lake area, that too in a synchronized and a organized manner. And this disengagement of the troops between India and China is from the north and south bank of Pyongyang So Lake. This is a very good news because of the result of the ninth Corps Commander level talks, which has taken up on January 24th, and the synchronized and organized manner of disengagement of the Indian and Chinese troops along the north and south bank of Pyongyang Lake has been announced by the Chinese military, and this is the first phase of disengagement. Please do understand, do not get confused, because you might be thinking that there were earlier disengagement process which has taken up between India and China along the LAC in the Eastern Ladakh. Yes, it was, but this is the first phase of disengagement with the tanks and armored elements on the south bank being withdrawn. They were disengagement of the troops, but they were not disengagement of the tanks and armored elements. But this is the first phase of disengagement with the tanks and armored elements on the south bank which are being withdrawn. And even though the tanks and armored elements are being withdrawn, troops continue to remain a key position, and that is still would be discussed in the 10th round of Corps Commander level talks. And as a part of the first engagement or first phase of disengagement has actually begun in June 2020. Please do understand, the first phase of disengagement has begun in June 2020, and then both the countries have decided or agreed to pull back troops. Then it was in the month of June 2020, both the countries have decided to go ahead with the first phase of disengagement in regards to the troops by equal distance from the patrolling point PP14 in the Galwan Valley and the PP14, that is the patrolling points in the Gogra Hot Spring areas, were decided by both the countries or both the military to pull back the troops. And it was during the first phase of disengagement in the month of June 2020 we have experienced the violent clashes which has taken place between India and Chinese troops in the Galwan Valley, and we have also seen that 20 Indian soldiers have been martyred. And the first phase of disengagement in regards to the tanks and armored elements was or is in February 2021. So there are two kinds of first phase of disengagement. One is in regards to the troops and the other one is in regards to the tanks and armored elements. And while this disengagement is being taken into consideration, aerial monitoring and unmanned aerial vehicles would be also taken into consideration, and they are still into action, and they would be gradually taken into consideration to be disengaged, even aerial monitoring and unmanned aerial vehicles, in the 10th round of corps commander level talks. And this engagement is a multi-step process of disengagement and de-escalation of troops along the LAC in the eastern Ladakh. And this move, that is the disengagement of the first phase in regards to the tanks and armored vehicles or elements, is in accordance with the consensus which both the countries have reached, or the military of India and China have reached in the 9th round of China-India Corps Commander level talks. And the focus of the Corps Commander level talks has been on the north and the south banks of the Pangong Tso Lake. And we have seen that there were firing which has taken place, or kind of warning shots which were fired in the south bank in the year 2020, that is in the month of June 2020. And the firing incidents which have taken place between India and China was way back in the year 1975. And the second time which both the militaries have experienced the firing of shots was in June 2020. So the first time, or the first incidents along the border between India and China wherein the shots have taken place after 1962 war was in 1975, and after 1975 we have experienced the firing between the troops in June 2020. And this is the information that is in regards to the synchronized and organized disengagement which has been agreed between both the countries, so that it will go ahead with the first phase of disengagement of tanks and armored elements. And if you look at this is the area of Galwan Valley, Depsang Plains, Hot Spring areas, Pangong Tso Lake. This is the Pangong Tso Lake. And you have Chumar district here. So if you look at the clashes have started way back in May 5th, 2020. So it's almost close to 8 months of face-off between India and China along the LAC in the eastern Ladakh. And we have also seen that on June 15, 20 Indian soldiers have been martyred in the Galwan Valley clashes between Indian troops and the Chinese troops. And in regards to the face-off between India and China, the Prime Minister has also spoken about it, the Defense Minister has also spoken about it, and the External Affairs Minister has also spoken about it. And the most important thing in regards to the Prime Minister, Defense Minister and External Affairs Ministers of both the countries trying to resolve the issue between the India and China, is the most important thing is the External Affairs Ministers of India and China have agreed a 5-point resolution. This is a key word, agreeing a 5-point resolution between both the countries. And you have the PP14 in the Galwan Valley, patrolling point 14, and the patrolling point 15 in the hot spring or the Gogra areas. And this is as per the geography map based. You need to get acquainted with this, because from north here you have the Karakoram Pass, and then followed by Depsang Plains, then south of it is Galwan Valley, south of Galwan Valley is Hot Spring areas, south of Hot Spring areas of Gogra is the Pangong Tso Lake, and then further you have the Chumor and then Demchuk area also. And there is another news which talks about that both the countries have agreed to return to pre-April 2020 position. And this is what India was demanding, that China has to focus or follow the status quo of April 2020 or pre-April 2020. That means it was in the month of April and May 2020 the transgression of Chinese troops into Indian or in the territory of LAC Indian territory, and India is very keenly focusing and it is demanding that China has to follow or it has to make sure that it is observing the status quo which is pre-April 2020, and this is a crucial one which India was demanding, and India and China have agreed to return to pre-April 2020 position, and this is as per the latest disengagement plan which is being implemented between the LAC, and both the countries have agreed for the pre-April 2020 position. This is a crucial keyword, that is status quo, which India is wanting China to maintain the status quo of pre-April 2020. That means the border between India and China, which if there is any kind of transgression from China into Indian territory, they will not consider as on today, they will not consider the area or the border, but they would go back to the April May 2020. That means the original LAC between India and China, and that is what India has been demanding since 8 months. And China will also now, as per the disengagement plan and returning to the pre-April 2020 position, China will vacate the finger area. You have the finger areas in the Pangong Tso Lake, and China now, as per the disengagement or the latest disengagement plan, China will vacate the finger area on the north bank of Pangong Tso Lake. I will also show you what are the finger areas and then how many are there. That is, there are 8 finger areas, and I will show you as per the map based. And one is, as per the latest one, China has to vacate the finger area on the north bank of Pangong Tso Lake, and as per the latest disengagement plan, India has to or have to climb down from the advantageous position which it has taken in the southern side of the Pangong Tso Lake. Please do understand, China has taken control on the north bank of the Pangong Tso Lake, and India has taken advantageous position in the southern side of the Pangong Tso Lake. And as per the disengagement plan, both the countries have agreed to return to pre-April 2020 position, and as per that, China will vacate the finger area on the north bank of Pangong Tso Lake, and in turn, India has to climb down, has to move back from southern side of the Pangong Tso Lake. And there are other areas which are still under the conflict zones apart from north bank on south bank of Pangong Tso Lake, which is part of the latest disengagement plan, but Depsang Plains and then the Charding Linglung Nala junction, CNN junction in Demchuk sector is still, or it is not part of the latest or current disengagement plan. And this, that is about the troops and the tanks and armored elements in the Depsang Plain and the Charding Ninglung Nala junction in the Demchuk sector will be discussed in the 10th Corps Commander level talks. And it is the disengagement, as per the disengagement plan, it is not only the troops but the armored elements and the temporary structures which are part of it is tents and camps will also be removed. And India and China have been engaged in this face-off in the eastern Ladakh right from April-May 2020, and Chinese troops have stopped Indians to patrol in the finger area of the Pangong Tso Lake. So earlier, India had the Indian troops would patrol up to finger 8 in the Pangong Tso Lake, but in the April 2020, on the month of April 2020, China has ingressed into Indian territory about 8 kilometers, and thereby Chinese troops have stopped Indian troops to patrol up to finger 8 of the Pangong Tso Lake. And now the Indian troops are just just able to patrol only at finger 4 and they cannot go beyond finger 4. Why? Because in the month of April 2020, China has ingressed into 8 kilometers of the Indian territory in the LAC, inside the LAC, and thereby Chinese troops have stopped Indian troops to patrol up to finger 8. So now India has its patrol only up to finger 8, not till finger 4 and not up to finger 8. And the other areas which are still part of the conflict zone are, as I discussed, it is Depsang Plains, Galwan Valley, Gogra Hot Spring, that is in regards to the PP14, patrolling point 14 and patrolling point 15, and the south bank of Pyangong Solo Lake. So these all have been discussed as per the latest disengagement plan, and this is to focus or to return back to pre-April 2020 position, that is status quo, maintaining status quo. What India is demanding China to maintain status quo of pre-April 2020 in regards to the LAC. Please do understand, it is in regards to the LAC. And if you look at, I have taken this for your benefit. So you have at the Karakoram Pass, this is Karakoram Pass, and this point is Daulat Beg Oldie, wherein you have from Darbuk Shok, Daulat Beg Oldie, which is almost 260 kilometers road which has been constructed, and it will connect the Karakoram Pass. And in the midst you have the Depsang Plains, and then further south you have the Galwan Valley. And if you look at here, you have the Pyongyang So Lake, Hot Spring areas, Galwan Valley, and then you have the Demchuk sector. So this is as per the geography map based. And then when we are focusing again in depth in regards to the Pyongyang So Lake, so this is Pyongyang So Lake. This entire lake is Pyongyang So Lake, and these are the fingers which are pointing towards the lake, and you have finger 1 to finger 8. And it was prior to April, Indian troops were able to patrol up to finger 8, have control up to 4, but patrol up to 8. But as Chinese troops have ingressed into the Indian side of 8 kilometers. This is 8 kilometers. They have ingressed into Indian side. Actually, this is LAC India, and this the line they consider China is China's LAC. So they have ingressed from point 8, finger 8 to finger 7, 6, 5 until 4. So that means 8 kilometers they have ingressed, and that is why the Chinese troops have blocked the Indian troops from patrolling, or they are blocked at the base camp at finger 4, that Indian troops cannot go further from finger 4 to finger 8, and even that will be discussed in the latest disengagement plan as per maintaining both India and China, maintaining as per pre-April 2020 position. So this is finger 1, 2, 3, 4 post, and then this is the base at finger 8 of Chinese troops, and this base is Indian troops. So LAC China you have here, this one, but actually the LAC what India consider is the from finger 8, and this Sirijap 2 is this place wherein it has fallen in the hands of China during 1962 war. So this is very crucial as per the international relations or India-China relations between in regards to the border disputes, and also from geography map based. And now we will look at the another news, which the center is certainly having logarithms with the Twitter app. And now the center has said that, or it has emphasized that Twitter must follow Indian laws. And when Twitter has to be maintained in India, it has to follow Indian laws, because we have seen that the government of India and the Twitter are at loggerheads over the issues which are related to the content, which the government of India is asking Twitter to remove the content, removal of the content. But wherein Twitter is saying that the contents which are being on the Twitter are as per the freedom of expression. Please do understand, the government is talking about the content to be removed, but Twitter says that those content are the freedom of expression, and that is the issue between government and Twitter. And in this process, or in the midst of this issue, which both are at loggerheads, the center, that is the government of India, has expressed deep disappointment over Twitter for micro blogging platforms, which Twitter is having only partial compliance of its order, and it is grudgingly, and there is a substantial delay of removal of the content by the Twitter. This is been expressed by the government of India, wherein they say that they are deeply disappointed over the grudgingly and substantial delay of removing or deleting the content from the Twitter. And the, according to our ministry, has put forth saying that, that is, Twitter has free to formulate its own rules and regulations or guidelines. Please do understand here, the government of India or the ministry has made it very clear that Twitter has, or it is free to formulate its rules and guidelines. But you have Indian laws, and these Indian laws have been enacted by the parliament, and the Indian laws which are enacted by the parliament must be followed by Twitter, irrespective of the Twitter's own rules. Please do understand here, a strong message by the ministry towards Twitter, not blocking the content or removing the content, saying that it is a freedom of expression. But the ministry has emphasized, or it has made a statement saying that even though Twitter has its own rules and regulations, it can formulate, but there are Indian laws and which are enacted by the parliament, and these Indian laws which are enacted by the parliament has to be followed irrespective of its or the Twitter's own rules. A strong message to Twitter. And in turn, Twitter has responded, or it has said that no action has been taken against the accounts of news media entities, journalists, activists and politicians, because the Twitter says that there was no action or there was no removal of the content of the tweets, because the Twitter says, because once we remove the content, it would violate the fundamental right to free expression under Indian law. Please do understand how Twitter has responded back to the ministry's strong message that Twitter has to follow the rules and regulations of Indian laws. But again, in turn, Twitter has said that it hasn't taken any action against the media entities, journalists, activists and politicians, because if they take action, those actions by Twitter would violate the fundamental rights to free expression under India law. And Twitter has informed to the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology about the enforcement actions of Twitter. And in turn, again, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology has said that India has a robust mechanism for the protection of freedom of speech and expression. And the ministry, that is Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, has made it very clear to Twitter about the freedom of speech and expression, which is part or which is under Indian law. It says that, the ministry says that freedom of expression is not absolute. Please do understand. This is the keyword. You can take this for the mains examination. Freedom of expression is not absolute and it is subject to reasonable restriction, as it is mentioned in Article 19 of subclause 2 of the Indian Constitution. Analyze or critically evaluate. You can take this. Critically evaluate. Freedom of expression is not absolute and it is subject to reasonable restrictions, as mentioned in Article 19 of subclause 2 of the Indian Constitution. Critically evaluate. This is the question for the mains examination, because this is the same statement made by the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology in regards to the issues between the Union government and Twitter in regards to the blocking the content of the farmers, genocide of farmers. So this is very crucial for information technology, as also in regards to the mains examination, that is freedom of expression. And there is another news which talks about, or there is a report which has been put forth, that is Crime in India report, which is compiled by National Crime Records Bureau, that is NCRB. And as per the Crime in India report 2019 compiled by NCRB, the Union Home Ministry, or the Minister of State for Home, has presented it in Rajya Sabha, and according to the data of the Crime in India report, what it says is only 2.2% of cases which are registered under UAPA, that is Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, between 2016 and 19 ended in convictions. That means only 2.2% of the cases under Unlawful Activities Prevention Act have been convicted by court. This is the keyword. Only 2.2% under UAPA Act between 2016 and 2019 have been ended in convicting by the, or by convicted by the courts, and this is as per the Crime in India report by NCRB. And the total number of persons who have been arrested under the UAPA Act in 2019 is 1948. The keyword here is UAPA Act, Crime in India report compiled by NCRB, and only 2.2%. And Minister has also said that the persons who have been arrested between 2016 and 19 is 5,922, but the one who have been convicted between 2016 and 19 is only 132. So this is the large gap what we have by the Crime India report compiled by NCRB and presented by the Minister of State for Home in Rajya Sabha about the UAPA Act. And the minister has also stated that in the year 2019, 96 persons were arrested under Section 194A of Indian Penal Code, that is Sedition Act. And out of these 96 persons who have been arrested under Sedition Act, only 2 were convicted and 29 persons were acquitted. So here the keywords which you need to focus is, as we discussed, the UAPA Act and the Crime in India report by NCRB, and under Section 194 of IPC, that is Sedition Act. And the minister also has made it, or it has provided information in the Rajya Sabha that the year 2019, as we discussed, only 29 have been acquitted and 2 were convicted. And the minister has also said that to strengthen the sedition law, the government of India, or the country, is amending the laws, and the amendment to the laws for the strengthening of the sedition laws is in the process. This is the statement made by the Minister of State for Home in Rajya Sabha. And if you look at the number of cases under sedition law, that is Section 124A of IPC in 2019 which were registered, were highest in Karnataka and followed by Assam. So 22 in Karnataka, Assam, and then followed by the other states, that is Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, Uttar Pradesh, Nagaland, Kerala, Rajasthan, Tamil Nadu, Jharkhand and Haryana. So this is, you will have a clear picture about the sedition laws, which there is a need of the hour for the amendment to the sedition laws, which are almost now absolute, and it is a British era laws. There is a necessity that you need to focus this as part of the internal security. As part of internal security, the sedition laws, how there is a need that these laws have to be amended to strengthen the sedition law, so that it will not be misused, as it was incorporated during the British era. And there is another news which is in regards to the Indo-Pacific region. And US has welcomed India, or it has emphasized that India is an important partner to US in the Indo-Pacific region. And thereby, the Joe Biden administration has welcomed India's emergence as a leading global power. As a leading global power. Here the keywords are India's emergence as global leading power, and the Joe Biden administration has described India as one of the most important partners of the US in the Indo-Pacific region. So again, Indo-Pacific region is the key word. And how India is emerging as a leading global powers, especially in the Indo-Pacific region, to counter China, and thereby US feels that India is one of the most important partners to US, especially in the Indo-Pacific region. And US has welcomed India's emergence as a leading global power and its role as a net security provider in the region. So, this statement, key phrase, can also be considered as the mains examination question as part of the internal security. As part of the internal security, that is, India's emergence as the leading global power and its role as a net security provider in the Indo-Pacific region. In the Indo-Pacific region. Discuss. So you have another mains question here which you can try it. How India is a leading global power and it has a role as a net security provider in the Indo-Pacific region to counter China or the emergence of China. And both India and US have reaffirmed that the strength of US-India partnership, and they have discussed on various issues. And now we will focus on what issues were discussed by the Joe Biden administration, focusing at India as a global emerging leader, and it is a most important country which US feels that in the Indo-Pacific region. And the areas which were discussed between both India and US are the issues in the mutual concerns in regards to the situation in Myanmar about the military coup, and they also discussed that the restoration of democracy at the earliest in Myanmar, and they have also discussed about the regional developments, that is in regards to the value of US-India cooperation in Indo-Pacific region. And the third one is they have discussed about the expanding the regional cooperation, especially focusing on the Quad or quadrilateral between US, India, Japan and Australia. And they have also discussed to address the challenges related to COVID-19 and also the climate change. They have also discussed in regards to the bilateral trade between India and US. And it says that US or else US remains India's largest and most important trading partner. And in the bilateral trade between India and US, or the bilateral trade between India and US has increased to 146 billion in the year 2019. So the one which was discussed is bilateral trade between India and US. And they have also discussed about the foreign direct investments, and US companies are a large source of India's foreign direct investments. So these were all discussed, and they have reaffirmed the strength of US-India partnership. So these are the crucial information for the mains examination, that what were discussed between both the countries in regards to strengthening the US-India partnership, and how Joe Biden administration has focused that India's emergence as a leading global power and India as a most important partner in the US Indo-Pacific region, and especially India playing a role as a net security provider in the Indo-Pacific region. So this is again in regards to the international relations, and especially focusing again in regards to the India and US relations, and how India is playing a role as a net security provider in the Indo-Pacific regions. And I hope this session was informative, knowledgeable and useful for both prelims and mains examination. So I would say a very big thank you to all. Good luck, and then do maintain consistency, stick to your schedule, and take care of your physical health and mental health. And do not forget to like the video, share the video, and subscribe the AKS IAS Academy English Medium YouTube channel. And also have access to the website and the Telegram link of AKS IAS Academy, that is Advanced Knowledge System. And then see you again tomorrow with the daily news analysis at AKS IAS Academy. And then till then, thank you, goodbye, take care.